today we're going to be hopping into a video that I think may be one of the most important videos I have ever filmed in terms of SpongeBob collecting. This entire box is filled with SpongeBob prototypes from the vintage era all the way to the modern day, some of which became finalized products that we have collected and many I have in the collection here, and the rest of them are all prototypes for figures that were never released. They never hit a public marketplace and only lived as production material. I paid $250 for this entire box, which is a steal of a deal. I received this from somebody that worked in a factory producing many of these different figures. They would take the prototypes, develop them into final molds to then print in mass productions to hit stores. And let me explain why this is extremely important to me. Being one that I'm a collector, I love this stuff. I love SpongeBob. I love all the merchandise, and every single item you see in this room, behind me, around me, I consider a work of art. From the original artwork it's based off of to the final product, the packaging, every step along the way. I think it's a beautiful creative process, and knowing the history about that is, for me and many of you guys, very important. So with these figures, we'll be able to get an insight on some stuff that we already collect, on where it kind of came from, and also get to see some stuff that we never did get to see but only exists in these prototype forms. So now that I've kind of explained to you the importance of this, we are going to open this up, and as we go through, we are going to try to identify which of these figures have become full-fledged SpongeBob products and which ones of them we believe are unreleased. Being that this person collected all of the prototypes, they don't know exactly which ones got finalized or didn't, nor do they know the years for every single one, because I'm talking they had thousands of all different types of properties other than SpongeBob. So it's our job to kind of identify which ones became full-blown products and which ones were unreleased. I'm going to be trying to do my best research, but being that I have this show, I'm connected with many other huge SpongeBob collectors. I'm going to be sharing images with them, and us as a group, we're going to be trying to identify which of these items were released and which ones weren't released, so I can label which ones weren't released as unreleased prototypes. And if you guys want to help along at home, you can do that as well. Without any further ado, I know this is a long build up for this one, but I really wanted to explain the groundwork here. Let's go ahead and hop on in. The first one up here, they did wrap up all of them, but the ones on top were not wrapped up, so I'm hoping they're okay. This is a Gary figure, and I immediately recognize it, but I can't recall exactly where it comes from. The shell is removable. You guys can see it's super detailed here. Let's go ahead and take a look at all of our Garys and see if this matches any of the Garys that we have in the collection currently. It honestly reminds me a lot of like the Gary Funko Pop, but he didn't get a Gary, like he didn't get a Funko Pop by himself, but it looks very, very much like the Gary Funko Pop. So in between each one of these, I'm gonna do a little research and try to see what I can find using some Google image searching as well as just overall keyword searching and see what I can find. Oh my goodness, how could I not have realized this? I think because I've never really looked at this figure that much. So this is the prototype for the Super 7 SpongeBob accessory Gary. So you can see in there, there's actually a Gary figure. You can see the eyes, you can see the mold. So there we have the two of them side by side. And I could say that I think this one is very, very close to the final release. Only thing being that the shell on this one was completely adhered, whereas this one is still removable. I could always store my own record player inside of there, you know, for a little loop-de-loop on through. All right, so figure number one already identified. Let's go ahead and check out the next one. Okay, next up here we've got is a Sandy. It looks kind of like a, I was gonna say sombrero, but it's just kind of a cowboy hat wearing Sandy with a guitar. Some of these could very well be like ornaments, I wanna say, but I don't know. Usually the ornaments are made out of like a ceramic material. This is like a vinyl material or plastic. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research on this one, but I'm not 100% sure. I was not able to find it online. I looked very hard for a lot of different images, but I did put it in my SpongeBob collecting group chat, and one of the members was able to identify image that it was based off of. So it is for sure based off of one of the styled guide images, and this is Sandy right here with her hat and the guitar. So this is the image that is based off, which definitely helps verify the authenticity of it. And being the source that it came from, I don't question the authenticity, but it's just that extra thing that kind of adds to it. So there is an image, but I would safely say, since nobody else, these are people like me that eat, breathe, and sleep SpongeBob merchandise, we are constantly looking for new merchandise, old merchandise, style guides, collector books, everything for the last 10 plus years of our life. If nobody in there has seen this figure, there's a high chance, I would say like Lysol, 99.9% chance, this was a never released figure, which would make This figure, one of probably less than 10, maybe they have, like, if they have even more than one that survived, but less than 10 prototype maybe pieces that exist of this particular Sandy mold, which is pretty incredible. And I'm not going to be pricing these items because it's hard to price them when reality is, because so few people know about them, there's no market as to what the last one sold as, or whether somebody's willing to pay X or Y amount for it. For me, they are priceless. The fact that they are these perfectly encapsulated forms of some of those style guides, and for one reason or another didn't get produced and other designs were chosen. Okay, so the next one here comes in a few pieces, so you might be able to recognize that karate hand right there. You've got the karate gloves on as one piece, and I'm pretty sure that this piece goes with it. So putting the arms on, I'm pretty sure this piece goes with it. So this would have probably been a already in production mold, but they didn't completely finish the coloring on it. So the helmet goes on like that, and there we have it. It's the karate SpongeBob there with his headgear too, which many people don't know that SpongeBob's karate headgear and his gloves were actually a Nickelodeon corporate decision, that when Steven wanted them to do karate, Nickelodeon said he could only do it if he had some kind of sports equipment on to make it seem more like a sport rather than like them just fighting, so kind of like sparring. So then he added in the gloves and the helmet, but I already can easily identify this, and a lot of these will be easy for me because, like I said, this is what I do. So therefore, like, if it's something that I don't recognize, I already think it's probably something that wasn't produced, but I still want to check with our community to make sure. But this is from the Jack specific, I think 2007 SpongeBob figure line. I have this figure in the collection currently. It is in our vault right now, but we will pop up an image on screen here of the figure that became of this, like the final production form of this here. So there we have it. That is really cool to see. You can see that originally the base coloring was all yellow for everything except for the helmet. They painted red. The gloves are red too, but that baseline coloring they started with was all yellow. Okay, so this next one is just cool. It's SpongeBob playing baseball here. I know that they used to have some vintage like stickers that had this exact design on it. So this must have been one of the mold figures. I almost wonder if like this along with the Sandy were like designed to be a part of like a bigger figure set, whether it be like in like groups of 2 or 3, or they seem like too nice a quality if they've been in any of the coin-op machines. But I don't know if we're gonna find anything on this baseball one. We'll find any images we can. We'll put them up on screen here. But after looking in the group chat here, it looks like this one might be considered unidentifiable, which is just so cool. Like, honestly, I think that the unidentifiable ones in many ways for me is cooler than the identifiable ones, because likeliness is these are not even just scrap material pieces. These are just figures that met an end of the road where they didn't get made completely, but we still have them and they still exist in some form, and we get to archive them here on this show in our virtual museum that I call this channel. So you guys get to see some really cool close-up shots of these, and these might be, probably are the only shots of these figures in the world, like literally online. So really cool to be able to share this with you guys and experience this together. Literally, I have goosebumps. Like, I'm so pumped. Oh my gosh. And the next one is so sweet too. We've got SpongeBob here singing with his shower brush here. He's got the shower brush and he's using it as a microphone. That is too cool. But again, I've never seen this before. And the fact that we have a couple like legitimate products that were finalized in the mix just adds to the authenticity even more of it. You can even see right here on the back of his back right here, this little bump you see, that is, you'll notice sometimes a little dip in figures in the back of them or somewhere. It usually looks like a little rounded hole. You've probably seen it on something. It doesn't have to even be figures. It could even be like a hairbrush. You'll see this little plastic dip that is in a lot of stuff, and that's usually from where they actually fill the mold. So they have the mold of the plastic item, they fill it up, and then usually a machine pushes down that spot where they filled it up, so that way it doesn't push up like this. But since this is an early prototype, you can see that it's completely uncleaned, being that the dip isn't actually pressed in, and you can see on the side here some of the like the mold not even being fully compressed. It is incredible to see this early form of it. I think this is another one that we might be able to say is unidentifiable. If I find any more information, we'll add it in the video here. I'm just gonna go through these and I'll do like checkup clips, add in between each figure if I find out any more information. And if you guys can help me, maybe one day we'll do an update video on the whole prototype collection. We'll have more information. I'll be archiving and vaulting all that information to go with the prototypes. Okay, so this next one has 2. Oh my goodness. So these ones, if I were to guess, they were probably made in 2 different colors to see which one would work as the better base model before painting. And you can see it is SpongeBob in his hall monitor outfit.
Hall monitor!
That is some of the coolest molding I've ever seen. I love this one so much. And you can see the detail on the hall monitor badge, the sash that he had on, the sash that covered his entire clothing. And again, you have some of these plastic pieces popping out the back there where the mold was actually filled. These are beautiful. And these are pretty quick to check off for us. I'm gonna say another set that is unidentifiable as actually a finalized product. So right now we have a list of 4 different molds that were never completely done, which leads me to believe that had to have been for a whole line they were trying to do. And this image is the exact image that they use for the style guide that was out during the time of the hall monitor series. And this may again be the only figure in the world that is based off of that particular style guide image. And that's just so cool to be able to archive here in the channel. This is a incredible video to film. Like, as a SpongeBob history fan, I feel truly privileged and just so happy to be able to do this with you guys. This is like blowing my mind right now. Okay, so unwrapping the next one here. Let's see it. It's like the ultimate mystery when they're for item. Oh my! I'm sorry. I got a little bit too pumped here right now. Oh my gosh. This has got to be the raddest SpongeBob figure I have ever had the opportunity of adding to the collection. Are you joking me? Dude, that is so sweet. SpongeBob on a skateboard. I know they never produced this because I would have had 70 of them. You guys know how much of it, I'm a huge fan of skateboarding, so I would have for sure had this figure in the collection already. And this one actually looks like they added a stick that actually protrudes from the back of the figure, so that way you could actually use him as a toy to be rolling. So I think that stick on the back on this one was totally intentional. Therefore, you could actually spin it to get him to do different tricks and stuff like that as he's going down the line. Which the quality of these, like, it's not quite articulated like the Jakks Pacific ones or the Super 7. So I'm thinking it's something in like the $5 range, maybe something like, wait a minute, maybe something like this. It's not quite the same size, but more made to be like a vinyl figure. It's not exactly the same size, but what if maybe these were like early versions of what these turned out to be by Applause? I don't know, but I mean, the sizing is kind of close and the still nature of them is also pretty close too. That's the closest thing I can really think of, to be honest. What if these are versions of these that never got completed? Like maybe Applause did the first line and then they were just like, oh, well, maybe they weren't selling enough, or maybe they just wanted to move on to something different, because at this time these standstill vinyl figures weren't what they are today with like brands like Funko, U2s and stuff like that. So maybe they just kind of stopped it a little early, because that's actually pretty crazy how similar they are. But that's one of my favorite ever. That is, oh my goodness, I wish this would have gotten completed. I'm gonna post it in our chat, but either way, that is amazing. So talking to some other collectors, we do believe that it could very well have been from this line of minifigures, because these ones have no articulation at all. The legs do not move. They are solidly positioned in the positions that they are, whereas the Jakks Pacific ones, because they have articulation, all of the pieces were removable. So there's a good chance that this is what these were made for. Like, there's a chance. Okay, so far we have 6 figures that are unidentifiable. We have more unidentifiables than identifiable, which is actually even cooler to me, that we have 7 figures that never hit the public. Next one up here, this one was plastic wrap. We have is Patrick, and he is separated by his base and his body attaches there. And I don't know for sure, but I want to say this might be the Jakks Pacific figure for Patrick as well, too, from the 2007 line. We'll pop the image up on screen to verify, but that looks pretty on par with the yellow label Patrick. Okay, so bringing up the Jakks Pacific Patrick, this is one of those situations where you get to see in an early form of it, it actually did have a notable difference. So often when they do these prototypes, they have to send them to a team at Nickelodeon over in New York that approves the design. So that That way they don't go along and paint them all and make a bunch of them, and then they're like, oh, we'll actually change that. And then you have to, you know, scrap or throw out like 100,000 plus figures. But this one, you will notice that Patrick's head actually bends backwards, which is kind of interesting because that's more alike the modern day Patrick. As Patrick has gotten older through the years, his head starts to bend less like this and bend more backwards. So more modern images of Patrick, his head bends back like this. But for whatever reason, in the final product, you will see Patrick's head actually bends forward. So that gives us 100% confirmation not only of these being connected to the Jax line, but these being early production forms of those figures. That is mind-blowingly amazing. That is unreal. Ooh, this one, I feel like, is this the one from the Tell playset? We have Coach SpongeBob here. This is from the Great Snail Race where Gary takes on Snelly and Rocky. This is Coach SpongeBob. But we have a figure that is super similar to this in the Mattel line, but I just don't think it's the exact same one. I'm gonna have to look into it, but that is a tough freaking figure, man. So the SpongeBob in the Great Mattel, I almost said Great Mattel. The SpongeBob in the Great Snail Race, he actually looks happy in comparison to this one that looks a little bit more aggressive, which is a lot more accurate to the show considering he exploded Gary. But unless they said like, oh, he looks a little too grumpy and they made them completely revamp the design, I don't think this is the same one. Although they do look very similar, I just don't feel comfortable saying this is that one unless we get another figure out of here that matches one of those Mattel ones. So I'm still assuming this is part of the same line we've been unboxing. So I'm gonna go ahead and say another one that is unreleased, bringing us to eight unreleased figures. Oh my goodness. So like if this didn't get created, I don't know why. They should have done this because this is of Sandy. Sandy as Miss Appear in the all blue. And her towel is a separate piece, so you can put that in right there. And boom, you have the full figure of Sandy as Miss Appear. That is unreal. There's no vintage figure of Sandy as Miss Appear. I don't think we got any Miss Appear Sandy's figure up until the X-rays that we actually got a few years back. But her head is removable as well as her tail, so it makes me wonder if it was originally articulated. That is beyond cool though. Oh man, like see what we missed out on? Like what we could have had? I would have had this in and out of box in the collection by now if they would have released this. I think another unreleased. Keep them coming. The more unreleased, the better. Okay, the next up here we've got is Squidward here, but this is ancient time Squidward, Squidgar, if you will. What was Squidward's caveman? It was Spongegar, Patar, and then what was Squidward's name? I'm blanking on it. It will pop it up on screen if he had one, but that's definitely him. You can see his like jungle style outfit, his little one tooth, getting pissed off for all of time. That is perfect. Another one that I can safely say unreleased. Another one on the unreleased. We'll just keep adding them. I'm not even gonna say it anymore until we get one that we can identify. Unreleased. Oh my gosh, that looks like it hurts. Talk about your stomach being in knots. You got SpongeBob here playing golf, but his entire body is twisted into a knot from his swing. I do think that there is a SpongeBob Burger King toy that is like the sports, like Olympic style with like SpongeBob playing different sports. And I want to say there's either like a Frisbee one like this or a golfing one where he's doing this. But I, again, don't think it's from that line. So, and it definitely doesn't have that detailed knot tied in the middle there. So this one for sure unreleased, but man, what a cool design on that one too. Okay, so for the golfing figure, we were able to find an image on the back of these SpongeBob golf balls that actually contain this exact image of SpongeBob twisting. So I can only think of that product really that does have this golfing SpongeBob. So this is that golfing SpongeBob made into a physical figure. Okay, so here's another SpongeBob karate one, but his leg is like a separate piece. So his leg is made as a separate piece. You can see to where he's like doing this flying kick, but his leg is so long and it's just individually yellow that you can actually take his leg off and he's just doing this flying jump kick. That one is just so sick. But at the same time, never seen this before. We're just gonna add it to the list. Another incredible design though. And you guys will see some close-up shots of everything so you guys can get them in a better detailed form, but my goodness. Our prototypes collection just went Jimmy Neutron rocket to the moon in epicness. Okay, this is another one I remember back in the day they had a lot of like these stickers for, like those old school glitter stickers you get out the coin-op machines, and that is football SpongeBob. NFL freaking Brett Favre, Cam Fish Newton, SpongeBob here. Look at him pointing. I'm throwing it this way. Try to stop it, baby. I'm gonna throw your old pigskin. That is a beautiful mold. Unreleased. Just keep it going. Okay, next up here we have got Patrick Man here. Oh my goodness. So it's Patrick Man from the episode, I think, where Patrick, well, I know there's a game, like there's actually in the SpongeBob Creature for the Krusty Krab, there's a whole like part of the game where you play as Patrick Man, like in a comic book, but he also does appear in the show too, and he's also got his donut in his hand there too. Barely you can see it, but he's actually got the donut in his hand as well. Everything on this one is really good. All I'm really doing at this point is just showing you guys the designs we have here, because so many of them. I'm gonna do research and we'll have some clips pop up, but I know they've never been done. So unreal. This is iconic. Let's do it to him. It's him playing his nose as a figure. Are you joking? That was a really rough Camp Coral version of it, but there we go. You got the intro. Ryan, give him the official. That with this one might be my favorite. That is too good. Those are my favorites right now so far. This is unreal. This is such an experience. Man, all of these should have been official products, like completed, because I doubt some of these will stand. Like there's no way this guy's gonna stand. So it likely, that's what makes me even more believe that it had to have been with these, because they all had stands. They all had a stand that was designed onto the bases of them. So it would make so much sense, because most of these designs, besides a couple of them, like stand on their own. Like they almost need that stand. You guys let me know what you think. If you guys think of the same thing as me, if these are likely some of these applause figures that were never completed. It has to be, unless I'm missing something. That's insane. We are going through mystery bags of history, of designs that the world has never seen. Sorry, Ryan, edit out that noise. No freaking way. Oh, and all the pieces are still on the Quickster. Oh, baby. That just made my whole freaking 2025, and it hasn't even started yet as of filming this. Oh, dude, please tell me he stands by himself. That, oh my gosh, with the Misappear, I'm gonna try to put as many of these as I can on the prototype shelf, the ones that stand easily, because I don't want them to get damaged, the ones that don't stand. But these are a must. Are you joking me? These are so good. And dude, look at the sizing. It's spot on. There's no way without, again, 99.9% sure these were the applause figures that were released in the Green Label era. These were designs they never actually did. I cannot 100% confirm that, which is often the case with prototypes like this, but you can't tell me the resemblance, the pricing they would have been within, the fact that they have a stand, considering most of them don't stand. Everything leads up to this being what it was supposed to be. Okay, the next one up. Oh, he's missing an arm, unfortunately. But Plankton, but he's on this awesome like pedestal. Like where is, wait a minute, is that a Chum Bucket chair? I don't know. I don't think it's a Chum Bucket chair. Don't they have just like those classic like school lunchtime picnic chairs? Let's look. I don't think they have bar stools there.
Chum is fun, but it's just not working. I'm out of here.
That's way too nice for the Chum Bucket. It's got bamboo seats, you know? And it's definitely not the Krusty Krab, because Mr. Krabs are too cheap for even chairs. It has got barrels. So, you know, it's some other fancy restaurant in Bikini Bottom. But it looks more like a lab seat or something like that, just because the way the base is actually put on there. Keep adding them to the list. Man, these designs. I wish they would have made these final products, because they're brilliant. They're so beautiful. And that's what I'm saying. It's so sad mad that somebody put all the work into making these 3D sculpts of these iconic SpongeBob images in all the merchandise, and they never hit store shelves. So if in any way I could be able to highlight and bring some kind of love and attention to this work, whoever worked on this line, thank you so much for the time you put into these, and they're beautiful, and they will live on, if not in a product, but here in this collection and in this archive to commemorate the work that you put in here. Like, this is jaw-dropping that none of these got made. Like, they're so good. Okay, we are on the last one here. I wish I just never stopped. I wish I, oh. Oh man, there's such good moments too. Next up here we have SpongeBob in the middle of doing the sponge. We've got the legs that are separate pieces, because I've noticed that a lot of these ones where the legs are different colors, it's because they had to put those pieces on after because they couldn't mold it in the same mold, because trying to pull this out of the mold would be a lot harder to do. So therefore, if you just push them in after that process is done, you can get the desired look. So I'm pretty sure this is SpongeBob doing the sponge. He's got his extendo legs on there. He's got his little toupee on. Just beautiful. It would have been so awesome to have so many of these figures captured in these iconic moments. I can't help but just get goosebumps checking these out, knowing that what we are experiencing here, this would mean nothing if I was doing this by myself, but we together are experiencing and seeing some molds of some true SpongeBob history that the world has never seen. This is unreal, and I'm so glad that I got to add them to the collection, because that way I could share it with you all and other future SpongeBob fans. I am currently in all the videos and plan to continue to keep putting up good quality images of all the stuff in this collection, because I do not want to or ever consider this a private collection. I want everything that we add to this collection to be accessible and be shared with everybody, so you guys can see and be able to look and draw any information or anything that you need to from the items. So this is super valuable for us here in the archive to be able to have all of these unreleased figures. Okay, so this one I think we can identify. So this is the Jack specific. So it looks like they're Jack specific ones mixed with Super 7, as well as all of these ones that we think might be applause. So this is the Sandy right here. I can promise you this is the Jack specific one. I am going to look up if there is any differences between the final production and this one here. Like, the Patrick has the bent back head versus the bent forward head on the final version, but it looks pretty on the nose with the Jack specific one. Okay, there's actually one, I wanted to check all the wrappers to make sure. There is one more that looks like it broke off the base, unfortunately, but I could fix that very easily. And that is this Plankton with the little Krabby Patty sandwich. He's sitting on top of the patty. That is such a clean design. So that's the last one there. Man, what a freaking experience that was. So all the ones that we could pop up images for, we put on screen. Any stock images or style guide images that we could find that resembled the figures. But all in all, our list was only 4 figures we were able to identify, and the rest were all figures that were unreleased. So these were all designs that in all likeliness were unreleased. Best guesstimation of what they were unreleased for, we have, as a community of the people that I was talking to, we've all kind of honed in that this line here from Applause is the best chance, being like putting in the price range that it could have been. We did get a suggestion that maybe it could be these ones here from the SpongeBob World collection, but these ones are a lot bigger than these guys are, and the quality on these is a little bit higher, and this feels much more like the harder plastic that you got for these figures. So I would say that rounded off, we've got a 90% chance this is where they came from, but my ears are always open if you guys have any information or know anything that I don't. I do not know everything, but I do love learning everything. So if you guys have any suggestions, leave them in the comments down below where you think they might be from, and also let me know what was your favorite figure that we saw today. We are going gonna add a couple of these in the collection. The ones that I feel like we can put on display without any risk of them falling over, and the ones that feel like they do need a base or something constructed for them to hold up, I'm going to put them in the vault until I can go ahead and do that. So stay tuned for that. Hit the like button if you guys haven't already for this historic video, really. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. We feature all types of amazing SpongeBob Nickelodeon merch on this show, and I love sharing every single bit of it with you beautiful people. We do have a Patreon where you can sign up for only $2 a month, and it helps me be able to save awesome items like this and also keeps me doing this show. So if you guys enjoy it, go check out the Patreon. I would appreciate it greatly. It's $2, less than a quarter of the cost of a cup of coffee, and you get extended versions ad-free of every video that I release here, as well as bonus videos and a bunch of other perks. So go check that out. You can also check out our Whatnot stream where I'm live every single Friday, and you get 15 bucks for free if you go use my link in the description. And we do giveaways every Friday too, so we'd love for you to be there. You could win some awesome stuff from the show straight to your door, free shipping. But before we go anywhere, you know the drill. Scan it! Okay, so I put all of the displayable prototypes here on the shelf with all of the other prototypes. This looks fantastic. I wish I could have gotten all of them on there, but not all of them stood as easily as I would like to. You can see some of them have some stuff helping them out here. I had to figure out how to get this skateboarding one on there. Some of them are leaned against other ones. They're all on there, but this is as many as I could get to stand. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here. Check out this video on your screen right here. I know you're gonna love it. I'll see you guys over there. Patreon, whatnot, all that stuff's down below. And as always, beautiful people, see you guys in the next one. Adios and bloop.